Guys, we just got out of Spider-Man No Way Home, and I honestly don't even know what to say right now.
I'm lost for words.
I have a lot for words. That was probably the best superhero movie I've ever seen. The decisions that he made in this movie are unlike anything we've ever seen Spider-Man
how about
do
that? I was like,
before.
don't go into review. Okay,
No,
this is
we're
our
not going to
initial
review
thoughts,
this.
and
It's
it was
just our
fucking
initial
baller.
thoughts. And
That's
our initial
it. That's
thoughts
all you need to know.
are that our mind is absolutely blown right now.
Exactly, and it's tired too because it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
It is 2 o'clock in the morning right now. Tomorrow morning at 9:30, we're going to do our full review. We're going to do our spoiler-free review first, and then we will hop right in and talk spoilers the entire time. There's not much we can even say right now.
No.
You really can't even say anything without just going ahead and talking spoilers.
And I just realized we got to do this in 6 hours.
I hate you right now. All right, it is 2 in the morning, so the movie was incredible. Definitely Endgame level. Definitely like top 5 MCU movies.
Yep.
I really don't even know what to say. It was amazing. The acting was incredible. Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
Oh
right?
shit, Willem
That's
Dafoe
not a spoiler. Fuck off.
No, it's not a spoiler.
Yeah,
he's in the build
okay.
cast. It's not a spoiler. So many amazing things. Definitely the best Spider-Man movie of all time, hands down.
We'll talk about that later.
We will.
Yeah.
We will. All right. See you tomorrow morning. Take it easy. It's 2 a.m. See you. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Let's Talk Movies. I'm Brad.
Wake the fuck up, guys. I'm Miguel.
Good morning, and we would like to welcome you to episode number 54 of Let's Talk Movies. We are finally talking Spider-Man No Way Home. We have seen the light! We have seen Spider-Man No Way Home.
Bro,
It's official, man. The movie is out.
Yep, first that came out, and we went to check it out last night at 10 o'clock in the morning. We didn't leave that bitch till 2, and I 100% do not regret it because it was phenomenal, guys.
Yeah, if you saw that video that was at the beginning of this episode before we as soon as we went live, before those brand new opening credits, I'm just saying, I really dig them, man. I really dig the opening credits.
By the way, it's a great opening credit, guys. Like, props to Brad. I saw it was PG-13. It just got me thinking. I was like, doesn't PG-13 have like a limited amount of words you can use? You can't say the F word a certain amount of time.
I think you get one F-bomb.
One F-bomb? There it is, guys. I'm sorry. We're going. Sorry, we're PG now. So.
Yeah. So yeah, we filmed that quick little spoiler-free reaction as soon as we walked out of the theater last night, and it was about 2:15 in the morning. Yeah. And as you can kind of see, we were speechless. I felt very overwhelmed. Like, I realized that after I was in the car driving home, and Julia and I were sitting there talking, and I was just like, I said, what do you say about that? Like, I don't know. We didn't really have very much to say in that reaction video. And I think it's, a lot of reaction videos that I saw the first time they saw it, they were like, I don't even know what to say. Like, we're just gonna have to talk about it when we talk spoilers because it's so overwhelming. It is such a big movie.
Yeah, you literally just start out like right out the gate. Like, it felt like as soon as I sat down, it was just like go, 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 go. We just got so many more information. I will tell you 100%. The trailer does not do this movie justice.
No,
it absolutely blows. This movie blows that trailer out of the water. Like, nothing in that trailer is what you would see like in the movie. It's not the way I think, not the way you're thinking about it, but like they did a really good job priming you up for
for
just that
sure.
full penetration, my guy.
Well, and and it's not even like it's not even the the CGIing things out of the trailer, which Marvel's been known to do. I mean, look at Infinity War. The Infinity War trailer had a ton of stuff that wasn't in the movie. Or things that were in the movie that were taken out of the trailer. And of course, this was more things that were taken out. But even like the the fight scene between Peter and Doctor Strange, that's not a spoiler. It's in the trailer.
We're gonna defend ourselves a lot in this portion of this.
It is so much more epic. And here's the thing. And we covered some of the leaks. We covered some of the leaked images. We were live when the Johnny Campia images went viral and stuff like that. Like we saw that in real time as it was happening. We've covered this movie for a year, and so many other channels have done an even better job, a way better job covering this movie because they have the sources, they have the inside knowledge and things like that. But even if you know the leaks, even if you thought you knew exactly how this movie was going to go down, you didn't.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Out
of all the people I've watched throughout YouTube, I swear, like almost every single one of them had like their leaks or sources and whatnot, and they had a good idea of what the movie was gonna be. But everyone I've seen, like they're like, "Whoa, that blew out all my expectations."
Yeah.
But like that's what made this movie so great in my eyes, is that not everybody knew what was gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, and it's, I don't know, like
the people with the sources, like you'd think they would know like good ideas what happens. Everyone that I've seen, this movie was far beyond what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And I fucking love that. John White's did a fantastic job with this movie. Bravo to the MCU for doing this. It was almost as if like my initial like thought after watching it was, I felt like I saw Endgame, and it's to the point where it's like, where the fuck do we go now? And fortunately, yeah, I mean we kind of know, but like it was like that sense of like, oh, what do we do? Like I don't know what to do. That's why I didn't know what to say in the fucking video, because it's like what do I say at this point?
Yeah, so that's kind of why we come across as like almost like speechless in that reaction video, because we literally, like, I didn't know how to like formulate what I was feeling. I mean, this movie unlocked feelings that I didn't remember that I had, like from watching like previous Spider-Man films and seeing those in the theater. And why are you looking at me weird?
It opened up my feelings it opened feelings that I never had before. I was like, what the fuck feelings do you have?
No,
Some repressed high school memory. No.
I felt like a little kid watching this. I literally felt like me when I was sitting in the theater watching Toby's films for the first time. And even as as a young adult seeing like Andrew's films for the first time, like it took me back to that, because that's something, like for me, it's the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans, it's King Kong, it's Iron Man 1, it's like those kinds of films that, like, when you're younger, it hits different, you know what I mean? There's
a different atmosphere that's just different in regards to like a Spider-Man film, and
it's nostalgic too.
Yeah, you can say, and you can almost say that for every single Spider-Man film. I can say that for sure, because every single Spider-Man film, it feels there's like an atmosphere in it, because Spider-Man is definitely like one of the most beloved, not MCU or DC, but like he's the most beloved character in comic book history, like 100%. He's beloved by so many people. So obviously a lot of people are going to flock to this movie. And one thing I'll say is like it was like a couple minutes before like even the trailer started, like you could hear the crowd like just just sitting, chilling, talking, like talking about what they hope to expect by the movies. Like it was just that atmosphere of like we all came here to watch all of this unfold, which is like years in development, pretty much like everything we've hoped and wished for.
Well, we showed up to the theater about 35 minutes or so early, and the line was out the door. I haven't seen a line out the door. I haven't seen a line out the door of a movie theater since Endgame, for any movie, not a Marvel movie, for any movie. and the line was out the door. I stayed in line with Miguel. Ladies got snacks. We made it all the way up, like to the back of when we made it to the line, went and found our seats, and we were sitting there for a little while. And as it got more crowded, there was a point, like you said, where literally it was like there was this like hum of like chatter and talking, and Miguel was like, "Do you hear that?" Like it was just like this rumbling because it was a sold out theater, so it was just like it was just this rumbling of like nonstop chatter and discussion and excitement and chewing popcorn. It was really cool, man. It was cool to hear that. It was really cool to experience that. It was amazing. So we're going to get into our non-spoiler thoughts first. We are going to get into spoilers after that. We will have a spoiler warning up. We will remind you, don't worry about being spoiled, because we will give you plenty of notice. And even if you're somebody who's joining after the fact, or even if people who are going to hop on the live stream in a few minutes, there will be a spoiler warning up there. So don't worry about the fact. If you're listening on Spotify or any of the other podcast platforms, about halfway through, we'll switch over and we'll talk spoilers if you have not seen it yet.
Yeah, because trust me, like, and if you guys haven't seen it, I would highly recommend you get on that shit as soon as possible. I understand
Seriously.
Everyone's time is different, and obviously people can't get to the opening night, but I promise you, you're gonna have to watch this movie as soon as you can. I just saw a friend post on Facebook how people are dropping friends because they are getting spoiled. Bro, let me warn you. I thought I got spoiled as I walked into the theater. That's how bad this movie was in regards of like trying to stay. It was literally like a fucking 6-year-old. I took the words of a 6-year-old. He walked out of that theater. He said something, and the ladies came out and they're like, "What's wrong?" I said, "I'm pretty sure I just got spoiled." And I just sat in that theater. I mean, I obviously wasn't. I was bummed out, but I wasn't like too bummed out to enjoy it. But I was like, I'm just waiting. I hope he's fucking wrong. But it ended up he ended up being wrong. He ended up talking out of his ass. So if he was, I was gonna find that 6-year-old kid. I was like, yo, we gotta talk.
Yeah,
we gotta talk. But yeah.
So let's go on, and we're gonna get into our spoiler-free thoughts on the film. But real quick, J-Dead is in the chat. He says, spoiler free. I'm spoiling everything, yo. Wolverine kills Doctor Strange, which causes Tom Holland Spider-Man to take on the X-Men by himself. Happy knocks up Aunt May, then dips out.
Oh, Happy. Why you gotta do that?
Spider-Man Homebreaker.
Homewrecker. Yeah,
Homewrecker. He says, by the way, the new opening credits are awesome, perfect for this channel. Thanks, buddy. I've had that in the bag for about a month now, and I've been like, I just want to show it.
He's been sending me snippets of it, like different iterations of it for like the past month, and it's like what do you say like after like the 5th iteration? It's like, it's great.
Yeah, cool. I would tweak little things here and there, like some of the animation or whatever, and Miguel would be like, what even changed? I don't understand what changed. Yeah, and the outro credits are going to be new too. So when the show's over, once it cuts to the ending credits, those will be new as well. So as we already said, last night was probably like the best movie experience. In the top 2, probably Endgame and Spider-Man No Way Home were probably the top 2 movie theater experiences of my life. I don't think I've never screamed in a theater other than those 2 times. And I screamed 3 times. We talked about that in the car. I said, Jules, I yelled like 3 times. And she was like, yeah, I know you screamed. Like I actually went, yeah, like at 2 or 3 different times during this movie. Like screamed. But everybody else was too. You know what I mean? There were a few
by the way,
in this movie where the theater went berserk.
Yeah, and you know what I love so much is the fact that everyone learned from Endgame, because when in Endgame, you know how like whenever like any of those moments like happened and the crowd went wild, they went wild for fucking 5 minutes though.
Oh yeah.
So you couldn't hear anything else afterwards. But this one, it was literally within like 2 or 3 seconds of just absolute scream, and then it got dead quiet immediately because everyone just wanted to keep quiet. They're like, yeah, but everyone was like, shut the fuck up. You still need to watch the movie. Yeah. So I appreciate that very much, because when I heard the screams, I was like, bro, I'm sure there's a lot of dialogue here. We got to listen to it. But everyone went quiet quick, and I was like, thank you. So I very much appreciated that.
Yeah. And I mean, as you can tell by our lack of forming cohesive sentences, in that video. We were overwhelmed. It completely just floored me. And honestly, I'm gonna have to see it a few more times to actually like let everything sink in.
Yeah.
This was my most anticipated movie of the year, and
It's everyone's.
so
Bro,
worth the wait,
you
man.
realize when we started the podcast, we talked about the Spider-Man film ad nauseum, and we didn't even have the title. We didn't even
Right.
know the plot. We just said new Spider-Man title, and we were like, well, we're going to talk about it. From our first podcast all the way up to possibly our last one through for the year, if you think
Yeah.
about it. So that's really a culmination. It's
Yes.
absolutely dope. It's almost poetic.
It is poetic, and it's listen. Here's another thing that's poetic. Our 1 year anniversary is Monday.
Oh fuck, we could have done this Monday.
This is our last movie review of the year.
Yep.
And this is like arguably kind of part of what started our show. So it really is poetic. It really is. It means a lot to us, and I know it meant a lot to so many people. And you know, this experience and the buildup was not only worth the wait, but it was sensational. It was sensational in a different way than Infinity War and Endgame. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The thing about Spider-Man No Way Home is, you know, I remember somebody referred to it as Spider-Man Endgame, and Avengers
almost
Endgame,
everybody can say that. Yeah.
Avengers Endgame was the end of Tony Stark's story. It was the end of what Tony Stark built in the MCU. It was the current MCU up to that point. That was the big like culmination of everything we had seen. Spider-Man No Way Home is the culmination of 20 years of Spider-Man movies. And again, I'm not gonna hop on that it's better than Endgame. I think they're equal for me. They're equal to each other, and it's not in terms of like how good the movie is or how bad the movie is, but like sentimental value, because I'm one of those people that like movies hold very sentimental value to me. Like I rewatched in preparation for this. I rewatched all 3 movies in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man universe, Tobey Maguire's movies this week, and
the disrespect to Andrew Garfield. Can you believe that, guys?
Well, you can't find. I don't own them, and I actually thought about that last night. I was like, why don't I own the Spider-Man movies? Like I'm an idiot. But they're not like they're on the Raimi movies are on Peacock. The Amazing Spider-Man movies, you'd have to buy them. So, and I probably honestly will. And we should definitely do commentaries for all the Spider-Man movies as well.
That would be dope.
That would be dope. Yeah. That would be incredibly dope. But I rewatched all of those, and it's Endgame. It's hard to say. Like Endgame was emotional because of everything that we had seen and everything that the MCU meant to us as adults.
Yeah, because
this movie, like seeing the villains again, was so nostalgic because there were so many callbacks to the other 2 universes, little quips, little things that the villain said, little things that, you know, this movie felt. One of the biggest compliments I can give Spider-Man No Way Home is that it feels more Spider-Man than possibly the last 3 or 4 Spider-Man movies we've gotten from any universe. You know,
I would agree with that. Yeah.
They did. It felt, and that was kind of my main gripe with Homecoming and with Far From Home. Was
that's true.
They didn't feel like they were good. They were great MCU entries, but they didn't feel like great Spider-Man entries to me.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that to Brad last night. I was like, does this feel like a Spider-Man movie? Because I knew that was his main gripe.
It did for me.
That's cool. Yeah.
Well, there was a weird lack of like web swinging and the New York scenery and people, and like there's just a certain vibe that New York has, you know what I mean? And especially New York in a Spider-Man movie. And it was lacking that, you know what I mean? It didn't have that same comic book Spider-Man New York vibe to it. This did. This hit on all cylinders. You know what I mean? It hit on it was a new chapter, but it was also the culmination of really like, because you have to remember, you and I and so many of you listening have been Marvel fans since we were kids, like long before the MCU, even before the Tobey Maguire trilogy started. And it makes me emotional to think about that journey. Like that's my emotional attachment to this movie and to these characters, because like, I mean, I had all the action figures. I played Spider-Man PS1, and all the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man games and Ultimate Spider-Man on PS2, where you're playing as Venom and Spider-Man going back and forth. I mean, like the comic books, the action figures, seeing all of the previous films in the theater, like those are like my fondest Marvel memories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
This
felt like the culmination of like a lifetime of Marvel fandom, of Spider-Man fandom, and like that is where the nostalgia and the sentimental like value comes in.
Yeah. It was definitely worth like the how you say the trouble and the turmoil that we went through as kids, as being like Marvel geeks, you know, being bullied and all that stuff. And now look at us, we're in our 20s, 30s, watching without a doubt one of the biggest entries for a movie this year. So it's like it all started out from just liking comics or just liking Spider-Man or just liking a simple Spider-Man movie and just loving the fandom. And it comes down to just sitting down with a bunch of people, both fans or not, just people that want to watch a movie and absolutely love this character and what the MCU has done with Spider-Man. I think that's without a doubt. It makes almost everything we went through as like comic book nerds and Marvel nerds very much worth it.
Absolutely. And it's funny because even now, like, it's funny because nothing has changed. Like, it's grown. Like, I feel like I'm more of a Marvel fan now than I was as a kid. And, like, that's almost, like, weird to say. I mean, like, you guys know I'm a teacher. Like, my lanyard at school is a Marvel lanyard. Like, I still have all the games. I still, I'm, since it's finally, like, Christmas break, I'm looking forward to being able to play the new Spider-Man game a little bit more, just things like that. Like, and it's funny, even this week though, like every single day on our way home from work, Miguel and I would call each other and just talk about it. And we were so anxious and so excited and so just like jittery, you know what I mean? Even walking in the theater, I was like I there was a moment, and I actually thought about it. Again, no spoilers, but there was a moment like towards the beginning of the movie. Well, this isn't a spoiler because
careful what you say.
I know it's in the trailer when Doc-Ock shows up.
Okay,
it's not a spoiler. When Doc-Ock shows up, like when I knew that was getting ready to happen, like that scene, like his entrance was being set up, like I literally felt like I felt my heart rate increasing, and I was like, I don't know.
Here we go. No,
like it was. It was unreal, man. It was absolutely.
Look at that. He's lost words.
It was crazy. I was. It was. I cried 3 times. No, I did tear up a few times in this movie. I will say that.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. The ladies were literally checking us out and be like, "These grown ass men really about to cry." I didn't cry. I'll say that right now. I was lucky enough not to tear up at any point in the movie. There were moments like in the movie I was kind of checking on Brad, and I could have sworn I saw glassy eyes. I was like, "Bro, you crying? Just let it go."
Well,
just let it go, man.
I did. I'll admit it. I did cry. I'm an emotional dude, and I'm a sentimental guy, and I didn't full on like ugly cry, but I did like there were tears a few times, at a few different places in the film.
It was that Oscar nomination teardrop. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like it's like that one that just rolls down the fucking cheek.
It's like just the single one that you just have to go.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So if you have not seen the synopsis, if you know nothing about it, the full synopsis for Spider-Man No Way Home reads: for the first time in cinematic history of Spider-Man, our friendly neighborhood's hero identity is revealed, bringing his superhero responsibilities into conflict with his normal life and putting those he cares about most at risk. While he enlists Doctor Strange's help to restore his secret, the spell tears a hole in their world, releasing the most powerful villains who have ever fought a Spider-Man in any universe. Now Peter will have to overcome his greatest challenge yet, which will not only forever alter his own future, but the future of the multiverse. Crazy.
Yeah.
That synopsis is
pretty
wild.
Good synopsis, I'll be honest.
Like I said, biggest compliment I can give this movie. If you found Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home underwhelming like I did, No Way Home really steps the game up, like a few different notches on a few different levels. I thought that they were great entries in the MCU, but like as Spider-Man movies, they didn't completely do it for me. Like I said, there was a lack of lack of web swinging. The New York setting wasn't there. Like they had a much different vibe than anything from the Raimi universe universe, or the Amazing
Bro.
Spider-Man universe. And like, would you agree that this really brings back like a more classic Spider-Man feel?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I could totally say that right now. Yeah, it does bring that OG Spider-Man-ish. It literally put him in a position where he has to rely on himself more than say other people in the MCU. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Because in the previous movies, he's always had Nick Fury, he's always had Iron Man, he had Mysterio to help him out in his battles. But this one felt more like I have to do this on my own. Like I have to this is my problem to fix.
Yeah.
And it really set him as a standalone character and not like a side character that he was introduced as. Because like in Captain America Civil War, he was introduced as just like a simple side character pretty much.
Yeah.
He was only in the movie for probably his suit was probably in the movie for about, I would say, 6 minutes at most. So I thought that was So, and that's something that they kind of continued with for the duration of his appearance in the MCU. This one, without a doubt, it really set him alone in the MCU and made him. I think this movie definitely made Spider-Man much more of a standalone superhero and not as like a teammate and a group. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I saw J-Dead said something in the chat here. Without spoiling anything, No Way Home was the first time Tom Holland's Spider-Man felt like it wasn't childish. There were real high stakes, real emotional scenes, deep storylines, and plot with a payoff. And I completely agree with that. This is a very much so darker, more intense character arc for Tom Holland's Peter Parker. And the whole tone of the movie was much heavier and much more grim. There was some dark shit in this movie. Like seriously, there were some really dark moments to the point where there were a few times I leaned up in my seat and I was just like this.
Yeah. And most of those, honestly, most of them came from both Peter Parker and Tom Holland and I would say right now, like we said it, like Green Goblin, he really set the tone for this entire movie.
Yeah, man. And, the cast did a phenomenal job. This is by far. And I think Tom Holland was good. Tom Holland was not my issue with Homecoming and Far From Home. I thought he did a great job as Spider-Man. But this movie is if you've ever been on the fence about him, again, for me, that was never an issue for me. I really liked him. I really like Tom Holland, actually, as an actor. I think he's great. But if you've ever been on the fence about him, this movie solidifies him as Spider-Man. It almost feels like in Civil War and Homecoming and Far From Home, it was like a Spider Boy. I feel like he was still, he was and I don't say that to be rude. He was learning how to become Spider-Man. It took Tony dying and Tony giving him the stuff and Mysterio and all of these different pieces to make him into Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
just in the same way as even in the comic books and in the Raimi films, there's a certain series of events that happens that makes them into the Spider-Man that they should be. And I feel like by the end of this movie, he is Spider-Man. He is his own entity. He doesn't rely on anybody. Like you said earlier, it doesn't rely on the rest of the MCU. Spider-Man is his own person. He's his own hero,
Yep.
So that was incredible. Tom Holland did an incredible job. Zendaya, Jacob Batalon, they did a phenomenal job in this movie too. They had some of the coolest Ned and MJ moments out of any of them. And I know a lot of people are super on the fence about Ned. Dude, I really like Ned, actually.
I like Ned in this movie. I think
Ned is cool.
I'll agree he was a little bit hokey in the past too. But he kind of grew on me on this one. Yeah. In the beginning of the movie, I was like, "Oh boy, here we go. We're gonna get hokey Ned still." But no, he definitely grew on his character too. And I think this is the movie where it's like, this is what makes it really exciting, is the fact that in all of the trilogies, because you know how trilogies are, every trilogy installment, the third one, it's always seems like seemed like an end to like what this trilogy was. This one definitely felt like, I don't want to say the word because it sounds fucking stupid. It's like a metamorphosis. It's like they just grew out.
No,
like
but that's perfect. That's perfect though. That is absolutely perfect because, you know, and I think part of the thing with liking the characters more, this is the third go round of solo film. So like obviously this is they're comfortable with the characters. Tom
they're willing to take like, you know, risk. Yeah.
They're actually together. So there's already that chemistry there. There's the chemistry that Tom Holland and Jacob Batalon have. Doctor Strange, who we haven't even talked about, Benedict Cumberbatch. This was like possibly my favorite appearance from Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. Like it was fantastic. And you know, you could honestly, I would even go as far as saying is there are some darker moments, and this almost the middle, and it switches fast because the first act of Spider-Man No Way Home, it's fucking all over the place. I mean, like it moves so quickly. And like, I mean, and I leaned over to Miguel at one point and I said, we're just hopping. Like, we're not like they're not wasting any time. Like, it's just like boom, 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 boom. And we are just immediately going straight into the plot. I mean, this movie, they've released the scene. So again, it's not a spoiler. The Spider-Man No Way Home begins literally seconds after Far From Home ends. And there is some time. I mean, there is like time throughout this film as well. You know, a couple weeks pass, days pass, things like that. But the opening act is very much all over the place. It's very chaotic, but you have to think his identity was just revealed to everybody.
He was being blamed for Mysterio's death, so like there's a lot of conspiracy going around. Like, you know, people are obviously split whether or not they trust Spider-Man or not.
Yeah, and that was kind of a common theme too. Like, there's a scene where he's walking into high school, and that
was in the trailer.
They're exact. I'm only talking about stuff that's in the trailer. I promise you, I will put that spoiler warning up when it's time, and it's not time yet. Like there are people who still support Spider-Man, but then there are people that Jameson is getting behind. That then Jonah is just completely like destroying. Jonah is a dick.
Jonah,
even more so
he is a reporter
than in the Raimi movies.
Yeah,
like he's straight up. It's almost like propaganda-ish. Like
he is literally the antithesis of what we view in regards to news media today.
Yeah.
It's get to the moment, find, you know, get to the heart of the crime and just speak your truth, speak whatever you believe your truth is, and the whole world will consume it without any sense of evidence or fact checking or whatever. It's literally just J. Jonah Jameson doing his thing, and I love it because that was one thing I was a little concerned with, was the fact that we were going to get J. Jonah Jameson back, but newspapers aren't really like the big thing now. Like,
it's all like, digital, you know.
Yeah, it's all digital.
Podcasts and online shows and stuff
exactly.
Like that. You know?
So whenever in Far From Home, whenever J. Jonah Jameson came out, and it was like a fucking like, it was just like a, you know, the Daily Bugle, but it was like in a podcast form. I was like, yes, that's honestly, I'm okay with that, because I could see J. Jonah Jameson's, if he was if J. Jonah Jameson was in this generation, he would be a hardcore podcaster, like InfoWars, yeah, like just screaming into the screen. Like it's like that's pretty much what I would expect it. So I was really happy to see how this Spider-Man movie was the Spider-Man movie for this generation, not our generation, so to say, but like for this generation. I could see how this will definitely be solidified in this generation's Spider-Man films.
For sure. And you know, I especially seeing, I'm not going to talk about, don't worry, I'm not going to say what's in the post-credit scene yet. But especially even after seeing the post-credit scene for Spider-Man scenes, there are two. Stay till the very end.
Yeah, which by the way, I'll say this right now. Oh my fucking God. You guys, Sony and Disney, you guys, look, I know this is probably like your like first like duo movie,
No,
But
it's
for
not.
I don't know. But like were they like officially were okay with one another? Bro, you got to figure out who needs to be in the credits and who does not, because y'all were playing with my feelings the entire time.
They all have to be in the
Because
credits.
this is exactly what happened. It first started out with Marvel credits and cool, all right, cool. But then whenever it stopped, the Marvel credits were done, but it was so long. It was like a 5 minute
It was long.
credit, and then when that was over, I looked at Brad and I was like, "Yo, watch this. The next one's gonna be Sony," and then boom. Sony fucking credits. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding
Well,
me.
it
So we
was
had to
weird though
sit through
because like
another 5 minutes of Sony credits. I was like, bro, figure it
the
out.
credits would roll, and it was like, oh, it was like they're rolling, and it's like, okay, post credit scene now. Sony, and then it would come back out, and it was like, oh my god, come on,
Yep.
I want to see the post credit scene. Like, let's
Yeah,
go.
and look, I totally get everyone needs to be credited. I get it. Everyone needs to be credited for the hard work that they do. But let's be honest, man. Just if you're that far down the credits,
Yeah,
you should just sign like, yo, just
right.
just give them the post credit scene at this point.
Yeah,
That's all I gotta say. But I get why. But dog, that shit pissed me off. That was the one thing that pissed me off in the movie was just the credits rolling. I was like, okay, congrats all of you. I just want to know what's happening now.
Yeah,
because I have no clue.
But yeah, man, I really I appreciate the darker tone that this set up, and I do think after seeing the quick switch, because seriously, the first act is all over the place. The second act is dark, like it goes, and it is just nightlight, and it switches to dark, like intensity, blood, death. It's rough, and then immediately we go back, and it feels like a Spider-Man film in the final act as well. And honestly, we can't talk about anything really from the middle of the second act to the end of the film. We can't talk about anything.
No,
it's going to be very broad.
Literally, like I can't even like first 5 minutes of the movies. Like that's literally what we can talk about. We can talk about like the vibe and the feeling of the movies throughout it, but like in regards to details, yo, like after the 5 minutes of this movie, you're into spoiler territory. It hits you with like it sets you into a whole new world at that point. And that's why I looked at Brad and I knew, I was like, there's no way we can do a review of this, a spoiler free. There's no way, because it was like 5 minutes and guess what? Boom, we're into the movie.
Well, for me, I think after seeing how quickly it switched to a really dark, and again, I'm not talking like dark for the MCU. I'm talking like it was dark. It was like the Dark Knight level. Like it was kind of
there were some high stakes in this game.
There were some super high stakes. I really feel like the Marvel Universe is moving towards that darker style of storytelling, and I'm ready for it. I don't know about anybody else. I think the Infinity Saga was remarkable. It was phenomenal. What do you say about that? The Infinity Saga is always going to be the Infinity Saga. It is one of the best examples of storytelling, and that's my big thing. Like whether it's music or literature or movies, like it's all about good storytelling. And like I think the Infinity Saga is always going to be one of the best examples of cinematic storytelling ever, but it's time for something new, like something with a little bit more intensity, something with higher stakes, something with not more adult. I don't mean like I don't necessarily mean adult. I mean,
we all knew that like comic books do have that gritty nature. There are comic books that are more like happy. But like we wanted to see more of a gritty side of the MCU. We obviously got like the big like pompous circumstance like of the superheroes, but we wanted to see more of like a darker gritty of the MCU characters in there. And we're getting it right now, as you can see with like Loki, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Hawkeye right now. Like it's getting it a little bit grittier right now, and I'm all for it, because it's like it actually makes these feel more genuine, instead of just saying like, oh, these superheroes don't feel anything. Like these superheroes, I love how they're making these superheroes feel the gravity of what they're doing. And that goes for everyone, whether it's Hawkeye, Loki, Sam Wilson, Bucky, Wanda, and Spider-Man. Like all of them, you can feel you can see how they're feeling with the gravity of what they're doing and throughout the MCU of this universe, for that matter.
Yeah, and that's why, like, it really feel after seeing the way this movie went, after seeing what happens in the post-credit scenes, I can't really give anything away. We are moving into the multiverse saga. I think that's solidified. This is the multiverse saga. I think so. Do you?
Okay.
I
I'll
do.
be honest. It kind of put a cork in my bottle right there with the post credit scenes, just a little bit.
I don't think so. No,
Yeah.
I think there's a
Agreed,
perfect
disagree.
storm. I think there's a perfect storm here of what is set to happen in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, plus what's happened in Loki, plus what's happened in No Way Home, what's happened in WandaVision. Like, I think this is a perfect storm of things that are going to start going wrong. And of course, even like we know Kang is supposed to reappear with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Like there are just so many things that point to multiverse here, and a lot of the intensity in that darker atmosphere that we've been talking about comes from Peter. And I think it was almost kind of reminiscent of Peter's arc in Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Like, he wants to be with MJ, but it's too dangerous. His grades are slipping. His relationships are slipping. He's got no job. He's got no money. Basically, like, his life as Peter Parker is failing because he has to be Spider-Man. And this is like the hyper level of that. You know what I mean? Like, this is the first time he's ever really had to face the fact that, like, everybody knows who he is. It's not just affecting him. It's affecting everybody that has ever known him. You know what I mean? Even people like Flash Thompson. This is, I guess this is it's not a spoiler. It's not a big deal. Like, Flash Thompson, like,
You can imagine from the past two movies, like if Flash Thompson found out Spider-Man was Peter Parker, you can obviously tell how his relationship with one another would obviously switch.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You guys know what I mean. With Flash Thompson, the way he was in 1 and 2, like, you could tell whenever Peter's identity was revealed, you can tell Flash Thompson was going to flip like a switch. So it's simple as that. Like, that was a given.
But like that in itself is its own slew of problems. Even like without the multiverse villains, like even without that whole other
if this
thing,
wasn't like a multiverse thing, like, this was a serious problem that Peter Parker had to contend with.
exactly.
Was his
Like,
identity.
You could have had an entire movie about this, like, crisis of him trying to figure out what to do and like how this is going to affect people, and but man, I don't even really know like what else. I don't know what else to say about this. It is remarkable, man. If you have not seen Spider-Man No Way Home, please do yourself a favor and go see it. Go see it with other people. I know COVID is still in existence. Do whatever you need to do to feel safe.
Take an extra booster shot and just go.
But you've had 4, ma'am. I want another one.
No,
please
man.
do not do that.
We are not recommending that.
I know we are not recommending
Fauci,
that at all.
I don't want to go on CNN and talk to Dr. Fauci about the fucking booster shot. I don't want to talk about that. Just just be safe when you go watch the movies. If you want to bring friends, and just enjoy it at that point, man.
Seriously,
do what you can, take what precautions you can, and just go in there and enjoy it.
Walk in there. I know it's hard not to have expectations for this film because so much is known about this film and so much has been leaked about this film. But walk in there, go see it with other people. It's such a blast to see this thing, man. I'm serious. It is in, and I've seen a few people say this in the chat, it is probably Avengers Endgame and Spider-Man No Way Home that are the 2 most memorable, crazy movie theater experiences I've ever had. I mean, when you have people clapping and cheering and yelling in a theater, that's crazy. I mean, I shit you not. There were 3 different times that I sat up in my seat and went, yes, yes, just like screaming. And it's amazing, man. It's amazing. It was a crazy experience. And Miguel, one thing we didn't talk about, the performances from the villains. Bro.
Yeah, I would say that right now.
Bro.
Because obviously all the villains are already in the casting, and so that's not a spoiler. But what I can say is each villain, I promise you, each villain got their time to shine.
They did, and I really appreciated that as well.
Jesus, there's something in my eye. Hold the fuck up.
I was gonna say, are you having a stroke? You look.
I got something in my eye. Oh God, I think it's one of Peter's webs. I'm kidding.
Ugh.
That 3D experience is insane. That 4D experience.
The
But
webs
yeah, I
actually
will.
shoot out and hit you in the face.
Right. But I will say though, the villains, without a doubt, every single one of them is already in the casting list. So obviously it's not a spoiler to talk about them right now. But I would say like every single one of the characters had their moment to shine, and I loved every single one of them. I know a lot of people were concerned with like some of them because they felt out of place. Trust me, none of them felt out of place in my
No,
eyes.
they didn't. I thought Alfred Molina as Doc-Ock was really great. It felt like you actually took him. And there are slight differences in the villains too. Like they're not the exact carbon copy version of when we last saw them, which I liked. Jamie Foxx did a great job as Electro. He added a lot of the levity and the comic relief to this movie,
Yeah,
and I really
yeah.
liked it. And he was still at the same time a really great villain, like a really impactful, great villain.
Yep. Which I was honestly excited for. I was so glad that we weren't gonna get like the usual blue Electro, and this Electro just felt more. I don't know. He just felt
He
more on
felt
a
more put
mission.
together.
Yeah, he felt like more on a mission to do what he always wants to do, which is kill Spider-Man. Which is obviously like in the comics, like Electro's goal is just I need to kill this spider. Like that's simple
Yeah,
as that.
yeah,
So I would say, I would say like each one of these villains held their own relatively well.
yeah. So the standout performance for me, and this is probably one of the last things I'll say about the film in our non-spoiler review here. The standout performance for me was Willem Dafoe, even above Tom. Tom Holland did a phenomenal,
Yeah, yeah,
fantastic job playing the emotion, and bringing that emotion and that depth and that despair to the screen. Willem Dafoe in this movie is unlike any time we saw him in the Raimi universe. He is a much more
you literally took,
sinister,
yeah, you
much
took,
more almost like a split person. He is actually kind of scary. Like
yeah,
there is a scene that comes to mind, and I can't say it because it's a spoiler, but there is a scene that comes to mind with Willem Dafoe and Tom Holland that literally, I kid you not, it had a little bit of Heath Ledger Joker in it. I mean, it was that. I do not say that lightly because I think that Heath Ledger's Joker is possibly the greatest portrayal of a villain of all time. I really do. That role is real dear here. But seriously though, Willem Dafoe completely blew me away in this movie.
yeah.
1,000,000%.
I would agree. Willem Dafoe, without a doubt. You basically took him from the Sam Raimi trilogy and just multiplied him tenfold. Like you could tell that he was so excited to don the suit again. You could tell he
Yeah.
was so excited to be on the glider. You could tell he was so excited to be the arch enemy of Spider-Man. And
Yeah.
he really said his presence in this movie, without a doubt, controlled every scene he was in. I would say that
Yes.
right there.
Yes. Well, and the other thing too is like you realize Willem Dafoe can't, like, he wanted to do his own stunts. I actually saw
Still,
something yesterday. Yeah, he's 60
fuck.
or he might even be older than that now. But he excuse me, it was in his his contract. He was like, I'm not coming back unless I do all my own stunts. I want to do the whole, like, I am doing this the same way we did it 20 years ago with the first film. Like, and because he said he felt like that was the only way to really reconnect with that character was if he really completely dove in. And I again, I don't say this lightly. Willem Dafoe's Goblin is a darker, more sinister incarnation of that character than in Spider-Man 1, than in Spider-Man 2, and when we see him in Spider-Man 3, because he had cameos in all three Raimi films, even though he died in the first one. His like ghost,
Spoiler. No, I'm kidding.
he was in Harry. It's been 20 years. Yeah, he was in Harry's head, and you know what I mean. He was was in Harry's head, and he kept seeing visions of him and stuff. Like nothing he did in, like, this Goblin and this version of Norman Osborn is light years away from "We'll meet again, Spider-Man." Like completely different, worlds apart. Worlds apart. Get it?
Yeah.
Get it? Get it? Get it? Get it?
Anywho, dude, I'm not gonna lie. I love like talking about how I feel about this movie, but dog, I'm just want to get into the spoiler at this point. Like
I
I
do.
want to.
So before we get into spoilers, Miguel, I want to go. Let's give our rating now. Let's go ahead and give our rating. What?
Okay, yeah, we'll give a rating.
For the people that have not seen it yet, because
okay.
I want to give them our rating. So, our official ratings. Miguel, what is your rating?
No, you go first.
Okay. My rating for this movie is a 9.5.
Okay. Is it negative 5.5? You see that shit, guys? Negative 9.5.
It sucked.
Boy.
It completely sucked. The whole thing was terrible.
Blacklist him now.
No. Seriously, I give this movie a 9.5. It was that good. And if I see it again, it may even go up a little bit more to like a 9.7, 9.8. Like, it was that emotionally impactful. It was that it was that nostalgic, even though it wasn't. And that amazed me too. This movie managed to feel and be nostalgic, even though it was a new chapter with some new characters. Like,
yep.
It blew me away in every possible respect. So, Miguel, what was your
9.7?
Really?
Yeah, I give it 9.7.
Wow, Miguel's final score for Spider-Man. You scored it higher than me. What the?
I did, bro. I would have.
You gave it 0.2 higher than me.
I would have gave that shit. I would have gave that shit a 10. Obviously, I have my things about the movie, but right. I mean, other than that, overall, there, yeah. I mean, fuck. I mean, this is probably one of the best, if not the best, entry of the MCU, without a doubt.
For sure, man. I completely agree with that. It was remarkable. J-Dead said he gave Endgame a 9 out of 10, and he's giving No Way Home a 9 out of 10. He's never given a movie a 10 out of 10. Yeah, dude, I'm not gonna lie, and I know all the horror people are gonna hate me for this because I do love horror. I absolutely love horror films, and I love the horror genre. But we got in the car, and we were driving on New Circle in Lexington on the way home, and I looked at Julia and I said, that experience, or what I said, the experience of seeing Halloween Kills didn't even light a candle to the experience of seeing No Way Home. And it really didn't, man.
No, I said that too.
Listen, I walked out of Halloween Kills like...
Yeah, exactly. I literally
Did I like that? Did I hate that? I was like, yeah. I don't understand. I don't know what I'm feeling right now. I'm really confused.
I said that this is one of the first movies that a group has gone and seen, and yes, we all collectively like enjoyed it. And that's coming from all across the board of a hardcore comic book fan, a hardcore MCU lover, and a kind of know it, and then someone who hasn't seen much of the movies, much of the MCU. And that's one thing that I'll say, non-spoiler, is there are people that have seen this. There's some folks that have seen this movie that know nothing of the MCU, or don't really, they know the MCU, but they don't know the whole story, but they still love this movie. They still liked it. And I thought that was something that really was impactful for me, because all that means is the MCU isn't just catering to MCU fans and comic book fans. It's catering to movie goers. Like, this is a movie experience, not just an MCU movie, but this is a movie experience to watch. And I find that very heartwarming to know that your average moviegoer experience is still able to enjoy this movie for what it is. And I think that's wonderful. I think that's the reason why it went. That's the reasons why it's so high up in my scores, because standing alone, this is still a great movie. Whether or not you've seen any of the original Toby or Andrew franchises, sorry Andrew, or anything from or anything from the MCU's entries in the past fucking 11 years or so, this is still just a great standalone movie to come and watch. The amount. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you while you were going there, like checking our seats, because dog, when we went to go get checked, it felt like I was walking to immigration with the line and I was showing him my card. That's what it felt like for a hot second. But when we got to the guy, he was like, all right. are not really checking our tickets. I was sitting there like, did we really just spend like $60 and waiting in line for like
Oh my
fucking
god, that
hours?
made me so mad.
Yeah.
Literally, I paid $70 for 4 tickets, and I had them on my phone because I didn't have them printed out, and I was going through my email, and I was like, "Hey man, so here's one." I was like, "I have one, and the other 3 are on a different email," and he went, "You're good." I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
"What the hell
Yeah.
you mean I'm good?" I was like,
The
"I
most
didn't know I didn't just waste $50, so."
check my
$60.
phone.
I was like, you're gonna look at my phone and
Yeah,
you're gonna
yeah.
scan these tickets. And he was like, no, I'm really
And
good.
and
I
when we
was like,
pass whenever we passed like the guy that was checking our tickets, I immediately looked at Brad and I was like, make sure our seats are not taken, because that was not a good sign in
no.
my head. I was
Yeah,
like,
I was pissed. I was like, are you
yeah.
freaking joking me, man? So, all right, that's gonna do it. Miguel has given it a 9.7. I have given it a 9.5. I'm going to go ahead right now and issue the spoiler warning. We are
What the
about
fuck?
to
Is this
talk.
CNN, bitch?
We
Is this CNN?
we are about
What
to talk
this
spoilers
You
for
might as well add
Spider-Man No Way
Beyonce.
Home.
You might as well add Beyonce tears up the stage at the AMAs or some bullshit like that. The fuck is this? The fuck is this newsreel shit that I'm looking at right now? I'm kidding, guys. It's
Oh
good.
my god. Oh, if you're listening on Spotify, it's because the on the video version of this show, there's the spoiler warning thing scrolling across the bottom, and now it's going away.
Nah, keep it going. Keep it going.
No, because we
Keep
have
it
the spoiler
playing.
warning up top. So if you have not seen Spider-Man No Way Home, if you do not want to be spoiled,
Please leave. I swear to
love
God.
you.
I
Thank you
love
for
you.
joining
Yeah.
us. Leave this video a like, comment down below, let us know your thoughts on the movie after you see it. But oh my god, Jay just says coming up on Anderson Cooper.
Yeah, right? Right, Jaden. Fucking crying. Oh my God.
If you have not seen Spider-Man No Way Home, now is the time to go watch the movie with some friends and then come back to us and come and hang out
You
with
have
us
5
for
hours
the
to
rest of
watch
the
this
time.
movie. Otherwise, this video is gonna get deleted. No, okay.
No. What is this? Saw? Like so our spoiler thoughts on the movie. We've already given it our rating. We've already talked about how dark it was.
How do we want to go about this?
I don't
now?
even know.
Let's start out
let
from
me
the very fucking beginning, because I swear to God, within the first 5 minutes, I nutted so hard
I
when,
know.
yeah, because if I'm being honest, John Campia, you're a fucking idiot for
Well,
watermarking that.
let's say this right now. We are not gonna listen. We've seen the movie one time. It was 2 a.m. when we walked out. After 2 a.m. Like, we are not. This is going to be an ongoing discussion for the next few months. Like,
Yeah.
this is not going to be the last time we talk Spider-Man No Way Home. I assure you of that. Like, this is going to be like, we have like our certain movies and our certain franchises that we like really report on and that we continue to talk about. Halloween is one of those. Spider-Man is one of those. Marvel. Like, we are going to keep coming back to this. So we are going to miss things. We are going to like not be able to get to it all in the time frame that we have. But yeah, so like the beginning of the movie is very straightforward. I mean, like, obviously I really liked how fast paced it was. Like, people find out he's kind of on the run, and like when he gets home and whatever, like I appreciated how chaotic it was, and that's why I said like the first act, it really is, it was all over the place. You know what I mean?
He was like, in the beginning of the movie, whenever he got back home with MJ, he was literally like a little kid that got in trouble, and he has to like, he's embarrassing, like, Aunt May, this happened, like that. It's like, I did this. So it's like,
Yeah.
it was hilarious how it gave him like that kid-esque vibe. And what made it so interesting was like, it just jumped from the beginning. Like, as soon as his identity was revealed, like the DODC just went ham on the guy. They just they wrapped this guy up in sheets and just said, "Yo, you're coming in." And I thought all of that was insane. I was like, "Oh, great! I hope we're gonna get the trial." We didn't get a trial scene.
We didn't get
Did
a
you
trial
notice
scene.
that?
I know. I did notice that. I was kind of shocked. So like I really did appreciate how chaotic things were when people found out. Like, immediately we hopped into like, this is really hurting him. This is really going to be like a big issue for him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And for the people around him. First time the theater went ballistic, like Miguel said, was less than 5 minutes into this damn movie. When after the DODC had arrested them, after they had kind of been taken in by the cops for questioning, after all this stuff was going on, and Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock was sitting at the table talking to them.
He sat down with so much fucking sauce. Oh my god, with so much swagger. He was like, another one, fuck me. So he knew exactly. So it solidified him right there. And he was only in the movie for like fucking 3 minutes.
It was literally, it wasn't even 3 minutes, dude. It was like 40 seconds. I kid you not. It was not very long at all.
Yeah, it fell on, but
that was a true cameo.
But you could tell 100% that this man has been in the MCU, and it pretty much connected the Daredevil TV series.
Yes.
Like, it's confirmed now. Like, there's no way to get around it. It's confirmed. Right. The Daredevil TV show from Netflix is canon to the MCU, and it's not a multiversal thing either. Well, it's this like they were in the MCU during all of this.
And I even said this to you though, like when we walked out of the theater. I said the fact that Kingpin was revealed in this week's episode of Hawkeye is no accident. That was completely 100% on purpose to have that Kingpin reveal at the end of Hawkeye and then No Way Home released 2 days later. Like that was 1050% on purpose.
I believe it.
But that was amazing. And I thought here, and you're exactly right saying that like the Daredevil series is canon, like it itself is canon, because literally Homeboy, somebody threw a brick through Peter's window and he just went.
Yeah, he
and
caught
they were all
like G. Spider-Man was like, "You have the tinkle too?" Dude, and what did Matt say? He said, "I'm just a really good lawyer." I said, "Fuck off."
Yeah, he said, "I'm just a really good lawyer." I was like, "Holy shit!"
I think it's really
cool
on
right now.
I think it's really cool that no one knows Matt Murdock is Daredevil. Like no one is aware of that.
But we've solidified that he is Daredevil already, though. They're not going to do an origin story. He is already Daredevil.
Yeah, he is already Daredevil. It's just no one knows that he is. They just know him as Matt Murdock, as the small town lawyer, and possibly what will be the lawyer for the superheroes, because we see that She-Hulk's coming out, and she's obviously a lawyer as well that helps out with superhero relations, or so to speak, like that.
And I think she's obviously already been rumored to appear in She-Hulk as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I think seeing Matt Murdock in there made it so much more enjoyable because of knowing what's to come right there. Even from like a low level standpoint, I know it's not multiversal like War and all that and Celestials, but knowing that Matt Murdock and She-Hulk are going to come in, and you know, because they're both like lawyers, and we've seen how Matt Murdock can be a lawyer, and he's just he really controls the stage whenever he's being Matt Murdock. And I will say this right now, out of all the superheroes I've seen on the big screen, Matt Murdock is Daredevil, and Daredevil is Matt Murdock. Like Charlie Cox is like, you cannot put in a more perfect casting choice for Daredevil. And the reason why is because he can play such a good Matt Murdock. So even though we didn't see him don the cowl and the whole suit and the batons, you could tell that Matt Murdock was Daredevil. The way he was like just so chill with the whole situation. Any lawyer would be freaked out of taking on the case, and Matt was just like, so I mean, this is pretty much black and white. Like you're gonna be good. Like there's no problems happening. We're taking care of it. And I died whenever he was talking to Happy, and Happy was like, well, what about me? And then Matt was like, you better find a lawyer. Because that's not.
He said you better lawyer up.
Yeah, you better lawyer up. Yeah.
Well, I thought that was great. Out of the whole Matt Murdock thing, and I can't believe we've talked 3 minutes about something that was, I kid you not, less than like 45 seconds. But like,
because I love him. I love Matt.
I really, seriously, like the first thing I thought when he caught the brick, the way he was acting, the way he was like interacting with them and kind of like doing the little smirks and like the weird, like, he's Daredevil already. Like there's no origin story to be had. He is already Daredevil.
Yep.
Like it was great. It was a great scene. The theater went crazy. That was the first time the theater completely lost their shit. So there was kind of a little bit of a lull there between Doc-Ock's entrance and like not a lull, I don't mean a low point. Like it was good. It was continuing the whole Peter MJ storyline, him going to school. There were some cool interactions with Flash, with his teacher. And I really
Burris was fucking cracking me up. The gym teacher, yeah, fuck. He said this man killed Mysterio. He was a conspiracy theorist in that group, and he was like, I don't know why you doing this. He killed Mysterio. I was like, this fucking great. The fact that you're letting this teacher still be around and just saying this kid murdered a guy, I thought that was fucking hilarious. The relations he has with the teachers and the school and just the population of New York in general.
Yeah.
Immediately switched, and you could tell that's how we would expect it as someone who was, you know, just a humble nerd in high school who and just people found out he's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So obviously everyone was acting different towards him, whether it was good or bad, whether it was flowers or just green paint, you know what I mean? So like it was interesting to delve into that and see how different it would be for Peter Parker if his secret identity was revealed.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it would. I think another thing that really stuck out to me in that kind of in between point in those between action points was the relationship. I really feel like Tom Holland and Zendaya knocked it out of the park with the relationship between Peter and MJ. Like seriously, it felt legit, and I know it feels legit because they're also like really together and they really have like a good natural chemistry. But I felt more, part of what made the Raimi movie so good was that every time something happened to Mary Jane, like Kirsten Dunst's Mary Jane, there was weight because of how good the chemistry was between her and Tobey Maguire. Mm-hmm. The chemistry between Andrew Garfield and not Bryce Dallas Howard. Oh my God.
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone. I don't know. I can't believe I just said Bryce Dallas Howard, like Raimi Gwen. The relationship between him and Emma Stone was like what gave that so much weight. And this was the first time I really felt like there was weight but for their relationship. You know what I mean? And of course we're going to talk about the ending of the movie in a few minutes. But like it made the movie so much heavier because of their relationship. You know what I mean? I thought that was incredibly well done. So Doc-Ock, dude.
Yeah, so let's I want to talk mainly about the villains right now because I know that's like the most important one because if I'm being honest, the villains were the main stories, main characters. They felt like the main characters in this because each one of them were introduced in a span of honestly in the span of like 10 minutes of each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we got Doc-Ock first, Green Goblin, and then Electro, Sandman, and then the Lizard. Like within like 10 minutes of each other. And
it didn't go down the way I thought it would either. It really didn't.
Yeah.
I thought there would be more of a hybrid fight scene between Goblin and Doc-Ock on the bridge. And
that was such the biggest blue ball ever. Like
it really was.
Like, I was like, I would like to see that battle, but yeah, it's fine.
I did think it was really cool, the nanotech thing. I thought Doc-Ock was going to keep the nanotech when he like absorbed it into the arms or whatever.
Yeah.
But like the whole thing where Peter could control the arm, like all of that was incredible. I thought that was amazing. I thought it was really insane. It was a cool twist that I was not expecting. And that kind of goes in where people were like, even if you know the leaks, you don't know, like you really don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Like that whole
I appreciate
that whole trailer whenever it showed Doc-Ock getting the nanotech, everyone thought that, oh, this is a multiversal glitch, or did Alfred Molina like steal Tony Tech before he met Spider-Man? Yeah. No, it was literally like Alfred Molina's Doc-Ock knew what nanotech was because obviously it was mentioned in the Raimi-verse. So, but what made it more hilarious was the fact that he couldn't, once he got the nanotech, his arms were gone. The tentacles were gone. Oh, yeah. Like, because Spider-Man was literally like, he
was controlling
his wrist. He was like, you now have control. I was like, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And Peter Parker was just sitting there looking like, sounding like a dad. He was like, calm down. It was like calming down a child because Alfred Molina was just getting all pissy, like trying to like swing on him. And Spider-Man was like, sit down. Like
Yeah.
just calm down. So I thought that was great. And
I don't know why. I really like the line when Octavius says, "You're not Peter Parker," and he's upside down. I don't know why, but when he's sitting there upside down and he goes, "I am so confused right now." Like, I really like that line for some reason.
Yeah. And he, at that point too, I didn't really understood like what was going on, because Doctor Strange was like, when Doctor Strange did the spell, it really I thought that he was able to like, I didn't know that he was able to like contain parts of the spell. I didn't know that what was happening. I thought the spell just went out, but I thought he contained it. And I was like, okay, well, how are these villains going to get out? And obviously he says some of them were able to weasel themselves out, which by the way, I thought it was interesting. But yeah, because one thing we didn't notice, big spoiler right here, Doctor Strange is not the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, I don't know if I would
notice that.
I don't know if I would take that like literally though. You know what I mean?
What made it fun? The reason why is because it was off of technicality, which I thought was weird. I was like, this is the Sanctum Sanctorum. Like, does it really go by technicalities? Like, I was confused.
I mean, yeah, Wong is kind of his right hand man, you know. So I don't know.
Yeah, so Wong officially is the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, Frank and Darren, what's going on, guys? Greetings. Glad you like the movie. It's good to finally be able to talk about it, dude. It's so good to finally be able to talk about it. Like, it's so awesome. Like, it's amazing, man. Darren, did you know? Like, had you seen it already before it released? I know it released in the UK. Like what, Thursday? I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, maybe. But yeah, man, we loved it. We absolutely loved it. Miguel gave it a 9.7. I gave it a 9.5. J-Dead says the villain showing up so quick made me think that they blew their load too soon, but the movie only intensified from there. There was never a dull moment from that point. That is true. Absolutely, 100%, man. Well said.
It was also I was a little worried with the relationship between the villains and Peter Parker. I was like, where are we going with this? Like, helping them, like, you know, and like curing them. I was like, where are we going with this? But obviously it blew out of proportion and shit hit the fan. But yeah, in the beginning I was like, this seems a little rushed. We're just throwing these villains out to you right now. So
well, and like the Doc-Ock thing, I didn't expect there to be that like commonality between like in the scene where Peter, like when all of the villains are in the like Doctor Strange's like prison or whatever, like his, you know, chambered thing. And I didn't expect there to be that commonality, like even between Octavius and Norman Osborn. Like I didn't expect that. I didn't expect them to.
You were,
because I even leaned over at you at one point, and I was like, "Did we ever see Octavius and Osborn like interact in the Raimi movies?" And like you had said no, but they knew each other already.
Yeah, because that was an established universe at the time. They were just building off the story. So obviously, like these things happen like in the span of only a couple of years in the Raimi verse. So like you had Green Goblin, Dr. Octavius, and Sandman, and it was so cool to see those two interact with one another when they've never met each other. But it's only because that they knew of each other. Because Sandman was like, yeah, I heard you two died. Like, we read it in the news. Like, that's what happened. And obviously, Dr. Octavius and Norman Osborn's relationship was more like a peer relationship. Like, they know of each other. They know both are great scientists.
Yeah.
It's just Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, he went off the deep end before Dr. Octavius. And I thought that was such an interesting like relationship between one another where they were able to talk to each other. And the same goes for the Lizard and Electro. Like they knew of each other and they knew what happened to each other. I love the relationship, the communication that they had with one another when they're all trapped in the cell in the beginning. So, and that's pretty much where I gathered. That's where I knew people were.
Except for like, Sandman, though. Flint Marko was like, "Who the hell are you people?" Like he was kind of his own like, but he was his own like he was his own villain too. You know
I'll say this in a bit, but I was just kind of confused with it at the time with Sandman. Holy fuck!
Darren saw it 5 times before the release. He saw it about 4 weeks ago, dude. That's incredible.
I'm sorry, bro.
I bet it was hard to not talk about it though, Darren. You know,
4 weeks,
like to not like
before this came
tempting, you know. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. J-Dead asked Aaron what he would rate it. Guys, by the way, if you haven't subscribed to the Slaughtered Lamb movie podcast yet, please do that. They just hit 100,000 or 100,000. They just hit 1,000 subs on YouTube a couple weeks ago. They're fantastic. Yeah, even like the scene when I'll tell you what I really liked in terms of like villain interactions, like when they were in Happy's apartment talking, like that was kind of cool.
That one right there kind of threw me off. I was like, that's an MCU trope right there. Just make it a little lighthearted.
When I'm trying to think how it even got brought up, but like when Octavius says, Norman Osborn was a great scientist, but this isn't even when he was like, you're a ghost or whatever, and Osborn's like, what are you talking about? And when Octavius says like, you died fighting Spider-Man or whatever, and of course Osborn's like, what the hell are you talking about? And they kind of had that like go back and forth thing where it was like, how I don't understand like how you're here. And this did kind of solidify, like they got pulled. At least the way I took it, I could be wrong. I may have to go back and like rewatch it to catch something else. I think they got pulled. Sandman obviously is different because Sandman
didn't really make any sense to me in regards to like how he got pulled.
It didn't, because we don't know his story after he dissipates and Peter lets him go at the end of Spider-Man 3. Like that was kind of his ending. That was his ending. I mean, that was all of their endings, but like he was not really a bad guy. And if I have any like, not negatives, but if I have any issues with the villains, it would be Sandman. And I think he was handled well, like his look, his feel. I think it was awesome. But the thing is, like, it felt very
was hard for me
strange.
To see him as a villain.
It was very hard for me to see him as a villain. And like even in that moment between him and Tobey Maguire at the end, when Tobey says like Flint, when he says Flint, we're gonna get you better, like we're gonna get you home or whatever. Like there was a moment where I was kind of like, why is he a villain? Like when they were in the apartment and Norman kind of made them like turn on Peter.
Yeah.
I was almost kind of like, why is he turning on him? Like, what is there to gain from him? I don't think what is there to gain from him staying in this universe?
I don't think he was turning on them. I think he was just trying to get out of the way at that point, because I knew like throughout the entire time where Tom Holland was trying to help the entire Sinister Six, they were I could tell Flint was just like, there was nothing to help him. Like he knew Tom Holland wasn't going to be able to help him at all. So he just wanted to get back home. On his own. Yeah, he wanted to get back home. So whenever Green Goblin just went full 180 on him, Flint knew like, I'm not going to be able to get home right now. I need to find a different way. So he ended up just going out on his own. So I thought that made him much more of a interesting character, because he wasn't a villain because he didn't want to go. He didn't want to like go back home to die. He wanted to go back home to see his daughter. So he wanted to go back home as compared to everyone else. You know what I mean? Everyone else wanted to stay. He wanted to go home, but he needed that box, and he needed to take down Spider-Man to get that box. So it was a weird.
Yeah,
it was a weird
really
like motive differential between everyone else compared to Flint.
You're right.
Flint's motives was very much different than the rest of the villains, and I thought that was really interesting.
I do appreciate that there was some complexity to the villains. They weren't just, let's band together and kill Spider-Man. Like there was some. It was a weird dynamic between all of them, even between Electro and Goblin, and especially Octavius and Goblin, and Sandman kind of wasn't with them, but he was. It was definitely a weird dynamic. Darren said, "You'll never know how hard it was. We couldn't contain our excitement for our first screening. I've never experienced anything like it in my career, dude. I could not imagine. I couldn't imagine.
I would hate to go through that, man. It's tough. I mean, obviously, I would love to, but like, I would love to experience that. But like, to like experience what you went through for those 4 weeks, oh fuck, I'm sure that was hard, man.
Well, and like, it was really cool because again, like the last time that I remember pulling up to a theater, first of all, we parked like it's a pretty big shopping center where we went.
Yo, I mentioned it to Brad.
Central Kentucky.
We saw the parking lot from a block away, and we could just see the crowd.
Well, it's a huge parking lot. I mean, it's a really, really big parking lot. It's one of the bigger Cinemark theaters, and we pulled up and we were like, oh crap. I mean, it was just like their cars were backed up. We had to actually park like around the building. When we filmed our like initial reaction to the movie last night at like 2 a.m. or whatever it was, I mean, we filmed that like behind the movie theater because that's where we were parked. So the last time I remember seeing a line to get in a movie theater go out of the building and onto the street was for Endgame. And when we walked up and saw that, I was like, man on a mission. I was like, go get popcorn. I'm getting in line. Like, I had my tickets on my phone. And then, of course, the guy didn't even check my tickets. I was like, I'm so mad. I was like, we could have just walked in. Like, we literally could have just walked in. I wouldn't have done that because we're good people. But like, it just made me mad. I showed him I was like, here's my ticket. And I was like, well, because I had 3 on one email and 1 on another because I bought one late. And I showed him the one email and I was like, so here's 1. And then I was trying to pull the other 3 up and he was like, you're good, man. And I was like, I was like, what? I was like, you're not even going to check them? And he was just like, nah, you're good. Go back there. I was like, okay, there's a line of like 200 people going out the door, but whatever. Yeah. But yeah, man, I bet that was crazy. I bet it was unbelievable having to bottle that up. J-Dead says, agree, Brad. He's already subbed to Slaughtered Lamb. Sweet. They have great content. You all should do a live stream together sometime. We will. That's definitely in the works. I said this like a few weeks ago, like one of our goals is to like do more stuff with other channels and to get some people on the show. So that's definitely coming. Darren said, J-Dead, for sure it's the best Spider-Man movie and potentially the best Marvel movie for me.
I can agree.
I would agree with that.
I would agree.
I would completely 250% agree. So the standout, as I said, like in the non-spoiler part, the standout character for me was Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. His Norman Osborn. The fight scene, when they make the switch and they're like turning on Spider-Man, I kid you not.
Yeah, holy
there is
shit.
The fight scene between Peter Parker and Norman Osborn.
And the lizard.
It like has a little bit of Heath Ledger Joker in it. I mean, when Peter is punching him in the hallway and they're like falling through floors and pushing each other through the walls and stuff, I kid you not, when he punched him and he was just doing the Goblin laugh, like he's bleeding and he's punching him and Peter is going at it, like he is just going at it. It really reminded me of the scene in The Dark Knight when Batman slams the Joker's face into the glass and he just falls on the ground and he just like rolls over and he's laughing hysterically. And Batman is almost like, what the, like he doesn't even know what to do. Yeah. That moment reminded me of that. And I was just like, oh my God. Like Willem Dafoe is not every punch park, man.
Every punch Peter Parker was given the Green Goblin, the more he kept laughing, I was like, oh, this guy is sinister as fuck.
He was psycho in this.
Yeah.
Like, he was crazy in like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man from 2002, but like he was a psychopath.
And Willem Dafoe did his like split personality thing beautifully because you could tell the difference between another. Because whenever Dr. Octavius was talking to Willem Dafoe, and he said he was like saying it's great to have you back, and you could hear how the deep voice of Willem Dafoe when he changes to the Green Goblin. You could hear the change, and I looked at Brad. I was like, "Oh fuck, he's back!" I was like, "Oh shit," because obviously, you know, Norman Osborn, like he's hurt by all this. Like he's trapped by the Green Goblin, and out of nowhere, the Green Goblin just comes back and takes over, and you could just tell how like everyone just started getting really antsy because it's literally like the Green Goblin in a small room with Peter Parker, Aunt May, and everyone else that he's trying to help. Like you could, that's like. It's like setting a lion loose in a fucking apartment building. It's like, it's not a good idea. So as soon as I heard like the Green Goblin's voice like change, I was like, oh fuck, here we go. It's going to get really bad. Because Electro was really like creating tension into the movie because he was like, I don't want to be saved. Like I want more power.
Yeah.
And that's when he kept looking at like the arc reactor. But Willem Dafoe, when as soon as his personality split and he went back to the Green Goblin, I was like, okay, here comes the spark. It's gonna happen right here.
He's such a good character actor. You know what I mean? Like he really brought a lot to that moment. Like the switch, it's really like a split personality kind of thing. Like like when he's Norman, and then when he turned around when they're in the apartment and he like immediately like slipped into Goblin mode, it was just like, I mean, it was just that moment blew me. That was like that was a standout like top 5 moments for me.
Yeah, and what made it
when he was giving that whole like diatribe, you know.
And when the way I know like the intensity was growing was the Peter tinkle. How you could tell Peter Parker was sensing something really bad.
I like this spider sense too.
Yeah, right. It's intense. I thought in my head, I was like, oh boy, is this where? Well, here we go, guys. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in this movie. I thought that was a moment like they were gonna come. Like I thought it was like all the spider senses like colliding.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah, and I like this one better because it was the fact that Green Goblin's presence and just sinister like feel was so intense that it really clouded Tom Holland's Peter Parker because he didn't know what to do. He was like, something is bad. Something is really bad. Something is near us. And like, he couldn't tell what it was until he actually saw the facial expression change in Willem Dafoe. Like you could tell like Peter Parker was like sensing something really bad. And it just enhanced that like evil dread that of what's to come with Willem Dafoe, like the Green Goblin taking over Norman Osborn.
Well, even at that point though, when they started fighting and the things he was saying and he was like laughing and the way he was, it was almost like he was untouchable. Like you couldn't hurt him. Like no matter how hard you punched him, no
like you have nothing
you
hurt
literally
me.
Yeah, it's like Heath Ledger's Joker. You have nothing to threaten me with.
Yeah.
When he's on the ground, like it was amazing, man. So the cat's out of the bag. Let's talk Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, because that was the other 2 moments in this movie where, well, 2 of the other moments in this movie where the place freaking went berserk and crazy.
Respectfully berserk, which I loved so much because as soon as we saw Andrew Garfield first, everyone was like, ah, but then they were like, shut up. Let's see it.
I saw a few people say that. They were like, yo, when Toby and Andrew showed up, I couldn't hear what either one of them were saying because people were screaming so loud. Well, it's like you said that with Endgame. The first time we went and saw Endgame, when Steve says Avengers Assemble, you were like, it was like Avengers, and you were like, what did he say? I didn't hear what he said. Like,
I mean, we all know what he says, but I just want to be able to hear it myself.
You want to hear it for yourself, yeah.
Also, look, I love Ned. He became a great character. He's the one that brought them. Now? Yeah, bro is a sorcerer, and he's the one that brought Toby and Andrew. I was like, the fuck out of here. No, but I get why.
That was strange to me. It's cool,
I get why that happened. And so whenever I was expecting like, in my head, I was expecting like, Tom Holland to be by himself, and all of a sudden, Andrew Garfield and Toby come in and they like, touch his shoulder or something like that, and he freaks out. But it ended up being like Ned and MJ finding them first. And that was really neat. I like the fact that they met up with each other first, because you could tell like in the dialogue that they had with one another, like they wanted to find like Tom Holland. Like their goal when they got sucked in here was, where is this Peter Parker? Like, where is he? We need to help him. Like there was a collective like understanding of like, we need to help this kid.
That was something that I need to go back and again, there's so many reasons I want to go back and rewatch this again. I didn't understand, how did they know about Peter? That was something that I think I was in the moment and everybody was cheering, and I was like, I was really kind of like trying to focus on them, but it was also like J-Dead said a minute ago. He said he cheered up when Toby walked through the portal, and he said his childhood smacked him across the face like a hammer. Seriously, I was so just like I was overwhelmed. How did they know about Peter and about like knowing what was going on?
Well, I'm sure the Daily Bugle was like spewing all those news outside. You know what I mean?
In their universe, though?
No, it wasn't in their universe. They got sucked into the MCU. It wasn't like a multiversal like circle thing. Like they were in the MCU at the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't pick up. I don't know why I didn't. Forgive me, but I didn't pick up on that at
Yeah,
first.
that's the
I was
reason.
like,
That's the reason
what?
why. So
I didn't
obviously,
know what was going on.
So obviously, when they got sucked in, they were trying to figure out what was going on, and I'm sure the Daily Bugle was like showing out all this stuff, and I'm sure Toby was like, "Wow, Jay Joma got a website now. Okay, good for you, man. Like you moved out of the newspaper business. Good for you." But
Right.
I thought it was
The Daily Bugle's moved up in the world.
Yeah, right. Can we also talk about how like literally Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, they are each other. Like they love to be in that because you could tell how different they are from one another because
Yeah.
from the moment when Andrew Garfield came out and he was like, he took off his mask, he was like, I'm Peter Parker, I'm Spider-Man. Just right at the gate. And then Tobey Maguire came in, he was like, who are you guys? And he was able to keep a secret identity and he came out with the, well, I mean, I don't reveal my secret identity.
Well,
and
funny.
Andrew was like, oh yeah.
Because Andrew was like, I'm Peter Parker, I'm Spider-Man, everything is gonna be okay. And Toby walked through and he was like, I don't go like brandishing it everywhere. Like I don't go talking about it. Well, and it was cool because like when they had that moment of like when they kind of like not fought, but they were like leery of each other for a second. They like webbed each other or whatever, and it was like, okay, you're okay.
Exactly.
You're good. Like you're good. Yeah, man. It was a cool. I'm almost glad that we didn't get like a big grand entrance with them. I mean, like that was enough, I think, because you needed that moment to like sit with just them for a few minutes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You needed that. You needed to be introduced, like reintroduced to Toby and Andrew. And I really liked a lot of
the
that,
fact that they did get a lot of screen time. I think they did.
I did too. I thought they had a great amount of screen time. I had no problems with how much screen time they got. I was pretty happy with that actually. And you know, even looking at like the scene where they first meet up with Tom Holland's Peter, when Toby says, does he have a place that like he would go to be alone? You know what I mean? Like, you know, and they're like, for me, it was the Chrysler Building. And he says, you know, for me, it was the Empire State Building and stuff like that. Like that was a cool little, I also thought it was cool that they had these little moments of things where it was like all three Spider-Men have something. Like there's commonality between all three of them. They all have a place they go. They all have like certain experiences do line up for them. You know what I mean? Even though like characters are different and people are different and it's, you know, like interchanging different things from their universe, but like there are certain things that are like a given that affect all three of them the same way. You know what I mean? And I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought it was wild how they. I was gonna say something about the main theme of the show, like the main like saying. I was wild with how that changed, like with because you know how like I was thinking in my head whenever Aunt May like made the famous line, with great power comes great responsibility.
As soon as she said that, I knew she was about to die. I was like,
yeah, I knew that.
I was like,
I knew that too.
She's gonna die.
Yep, I knew that happening.
Well,
but what made me think of this was, what made me think of that was, I'm guessing Uncle Ben didn't say that to Peter Parker. I think Ben Parker just died of just, you know, of a terrible accident, and Spider-Man wasn't, and Peter Parker was there to help him. So he didn't have that gravity until it was Aunt May. So I was so confused. I was so confused on that. Whenever Aunt May died and she said that scene, bye spoil. She that's where it hit me out. And whenever Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were talking about it with the same quote, I was like, whoa, this is, in my head I was thinking, this is the origin story of this Peter Parker.
Yep.
This is the origin story of this Spider-Man.
Yes. And
I was like, because I was kind of worried. I was okay, but I was worried at the same time with like them jumping into Tom Holland Spider-Man with no sense of origin story. And I thought that was a refresher. But that was because I think they were setting up for this. They were like,
I'm serious. I really feel like Far From Home and Homecoming, he was not really Spider-Man yet.
Yeah.
Like it was, I feel like all of what happened in the events of Civil War and Infinity War and Endgame and Homecoming and Far From Home were the build up to this moment. This movie, that moment where he and Toby and Andrew are together and he was telling them what to do, and he like that was like he became Spider-Man. His sacrifice at the end of this movie, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes at the end, his sacrifice is what made him Spider-Man. That is the most Spider-Man thing that any version of that character has ever done.
Yeah, because in the movie, like in the previous 2 movies, he wanted the people he cared about to know he's Spider-Man.
Right. Yeah.
And now it's like a complete 180, and we'll talk about that later. But like, I think it was a complete 180, and I think that decision was what really like grew him into being the Spider-Man that we all, I mean, honestly wanted to see.
So. For sure. I really like the scene where him and Toby kind of like met up with Tom, and they were like, "It's okay, like don't like it's okay, don't worry about it, whatever."
We don't need to web each other.
Well, and when they were kind of sharing, like Tom was like, "Don't act like you understand" or whatever. And I was like, when he said that, I was like, "Bro, they've been through more than you've been through." I was like, they've both.
Well, I don't know about that.
I don't know if they've been through more, but I was like, they've both gone through some shit too. Like, don't. I wouldn't say that, because Toby and Andrew have both had their share of like hardship, you know.
Yeah.
But when Tom said Aunt May told me with great responsibility, or with great power, and then when Toby said with great responsibility, and he was teared up a little bit, I was like,
"Oh, fuck me." Yeah,
I know. Yeah. I was like, wow, man. That was a great scene. That was another like tearjerker, really, really impactful scene, because it was the first time that all 3 Spider-Men really like. It was the first time they really connected, and I think that was when Tom started to kind of realize, like, oh, they are like me, like they are. It's not just me. It's not just this is happening to me. They've been through the same kind of experiences, you know. They've lost people. They've dealt with people learning of their identity. They've dealt with losing friends, with losing family, with making sacrifices, with making sacrifices
of being Spider-Man. Yeah.
With dealing with villains that you can't save, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure Peter wanted to save Norman Osborn. Peter wanted to save Max, Electro. He wanted to save Octavius, but they couldn't, you know? Yeah. So that was really, really cool. Again, Aunt May's death, that whole scene at the apartment was really Act 2 takes place at the apartment.
It does.
And like up to the point where we just talked about, where like in my eyes, like Act 2 is from the apartment to when Toby and Andrew and Tom all meet up at the same time, and they're having that conversation. The third act of this movie is bonkers, and I actually kind of appreciated how much we saw Toby and Andrew in like a
being Peter Parker
in a scientific, like really Peter Parker capacity. It
was great to see. That, you know? It was great to see Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield be Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And then they become their Spider-Mans. Like, they don their suits. Like, that was really cool to add that as well. It wasn't just like, okay, let's put the suits on and kick ass. No, let's think about like what we're gonna do and come up with a plan.
There was breathing room for their characters. They got to have that. They got to talk about Gwen. They got to talk about Kirsten Dunst's Mary Jane, and like, you know, they got to share that. They got to bond a little bit. You know what I mean? And I really appreciated that. Like, those are some of the moments that I appreciated most. Dude, one of the funniest scenes, I don't know why I thought this was so funny, when Toby did his web or whatever.
Yeah.
And Andrew Garfield goes, "Oh my God." He said, "How did you just do that?" And he was like, Toby said, "You guys can't do that too?" And he did it again, and they were like,
yeah.
That was
and
awesome.
then the way they build off on that, whenever like before the big battle happened, they were just like having like that little chit chat.
Yeah,
they were like, so like, I mean, like, it's not weird that you can do that. We're not making fun of you. It's just that we can't, and we're curious like, how you're able to do it.
Yeah. He was like, we just don't understand. Like, I don't.
And what made it?
Andrew Garfield said, "So, is it?" He said, "It comes out of your wrists." He was like, "Does it come out of other parts of you?" And
that
Toby
was Tom.
Was like, "Oh, was it?"
Yeah. And Andrew was like, "What? What?"
Well, Andrew said what, and Toby said, "I really don't want to talk about this right now."
Yeah. And I loved it so much, because that was something that was like in the comics.
They did 100%.
Yeah,
100%. He said
100%
the
believe
Peter
that
Parkers
too.
talking and learning about each other was my favorite scene. Yeah, it was awesome, man.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
what made Toby's like web shooter so interesting was because that was like their decision in the Raimiverse. Because
Right.
Peter Parker has always had like he always had
Yeah.
web shooters. They didn't just come out of them.
And it
That
was
was
cool.
something. Yeah, and that was a great. It was a great thing that Tobey Maguire did and Sam Raimi did in that universe. But I knew that whenever this possible crossover was coming, like I knew like that was gonna be
It
the
would get
like
brought
one of
up.
the it was gonna get brought up because
Yeah.
he's the only Spider-Man that can do it. Everyone else has web shooters. So I
Yeah.
thought that was really really funny. Because Tobey Maguire was like, "What's that vial for?" And Tom was like, "It's for my web shooters. I got to refill." And Toby was like, "Bitch."
He said,
Everyone was
"What?"
like, "Whoa!"
And they were all like, "Whoa!" Andrew like climbed up on the table. He was like, "How did you just do that?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah.
really cool, man.
Andrew Garfield was the one that I loved the most. Like, I'm
He
sorry,
was
guys.
funny.
He was hilarious. He's a great Spider-Man in my eyes. And like
Yeah.
all three of them are great. I love Andrew Garfield. Like some people have some hate for Andrew Garfield because they thought he was like too much of the cool boy. I didn't think so. I thought he was just a nerd, just a simple kid that just like became Spider-Man. And he just has that funny, like confidence, egotistical thing that he has in him. And
Yeah.
you can see the awkwardness that he had like in this movie whenever Andrew Garfield was like, just want to let you guys know, I love you. And both Tom and Toby were
Yeah.
like, yeah, thanks, man.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, it was cool. But yeah, it was so cool, man. Even when what does he say? Uh even when they're talking about like Tom Holland is like, yeah, I was actually part of the Avengers, it's like an Earth Mightiest Heroes kind of
That
thing.
one right
And Toby
there.
goes, how the hell does this help us right now?
No, it was the one where like that was one moment where I was like, yes, fuck, because Tom Holland was talking about like the Avengers, and Toby was like, oh, the Avengers, and I grabbed Brad so hard, I was like, oh, the
He did.
Avengers are in
He
the Sam
grabbed
Raimi
my
verse.
arm and was like, and then as soon as he was like, what's the Avengers? He said, what the hell is the Avengers? And you were like, oh my
I was like, fuck.
God. You were like, crap, man. But
Yeah, that was a blue ball moment as well. I believe that 100%. But
I loved
yeah,
that in the final fight scene at the Statue of Liberty, every one of them and every villain all got their time to shine. Like all three
right.
the shot of all three Spider-Man running together and jumping when they like yelled and stuff and they're swinging together, like that was amazing. The whole final fight scene was remarkable. I mean, it really was. It was incredibly well done. Doctor Strange coming back. Every single villain got their time to shine when they were healing them. There was a moment where I sat up in my seat for about 5 minutes when we're skipping to the end because I know I'm running short on time. I know it feels like we've been talking for like 30 minutes and we're almost at 2 hours. But and again, this is going to be something we're going to talk about a lot. This is like bare bones, just our initial like morning after thoughts on the movie. There was a moment because this whole thing has been about who is Spider-Man, who is, like I think the fact that Toby knows how sinister Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. I almost said Willem Dafoe's Doc-Ock. Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, is when him and Spider-Man are fighting on the shield, when Norman and Tom Spider-Man are fighting on the shield, and Toby and Andrew look down and they just look at each other and like shake their heads or whatever. When Toby grabs the glider and him and Tom are like, Toby's like shaking his head like, don't kill him. When Tobey Maguire got stabbed,
bro,
I don't know if if my heart, every organ in
bro,
my body was like in my pelvis. I was like,
bro,
I was like, you just play. I just watched all of Tobey
bro.
Maguire's movies this week. He is my favorite Spider-Man. He is like the most nostalgic character of any movie ever for me. I was like, if you kill Tobey Maguire right now, I am getting up and leaving this theater.
Yep. Because as soon as he got stabbed, there was such a huge gasp. I gripped everyone that was near me. I was so fucking pissed because I thought he was gonna die. And then Green Goblin was like, you. And I yelled out on top of my lungs. I was like, fuck you. And I was literally about to grab my drink and chuck it at the
Miguel
fucking
yelled
theater.
that in a crowded theater. It was just that moment. Like literally the entire theater went and like everybody sat up for a minute. And I sat in my chair like this.
Yep.
Like leaned down on my knees for the next like 5 or 6 minutes because we didn't know if he was gonna die, and luckily he didn't die.
Yeah, he did. This man laid down and says, "Yeah, it's fine. I've been stabbed before." I said, "Fuck you."
Seriously though, Andrew was like, "Dude, are you okay? Are you okay?" He was like, "I got him. Go, go." And like after Peter realized that he was gonna have to make the sacrifice, when him and Strange were talking, yeah, Toby was like, I'm fine. I've been stabbed before. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I know, but like that, it was so like, seriously, I feel like they were writing that script and they were like,
I'm gonna fuck with these people.
They were just like, I'm just gonna screw with them and think he's gonna die.
Boy, that fight scene with Tom Holland and Green Goblin, I have never seen.
It was dark.
Peter Parker, Tom Holland's Peter Parker go in such rage mode. You know what? It reminded me of the comic book of where it was same kind of story, so to speak. Aunt May gets hurt by Kingpin, and Peter Parker just like swings into prison, takes off his cowl, takes off his whole thing, and says, "You're not going to get your ass kicked by Spider-Man. Peter Parker's going to kick your ass." And he wails on him, and he basically says like, "Yo, I could shoot webs in your mouth right now and choke you out. But I just want you to know, if Aunt May dies, I'm coming back to finish the job." Like that fight scene in the comics is pretty similar to the ferocity Tom Holland had in this fight between Green Goblin and
it actually kind of reminded me a little bit of the fight scene in at the end of the first Toby Spider-Man, because he went kind of hard too. Yeah, like he was pissed. Like they were going at it at the end of the first Toby movie. You know,
I thought like it was hard to watch. I was like, yo, Willem Dafoe did his own stunts now.
But it was amazing, man. The ending scene, I almost kind of felt like they gypped us on Toby and Andrew's exit. Like I felt like they could have had more of an exit to the movie.
No, because the situation was so dire.
Right, and I get that. I get that.
Breaking, dude. When the universe was breaking, and you saw all like the characters. That was dope. But it looked like
it was comic book iterations of those characters. Yeah, it was really cool.
It looked like the silhouette of characters you have not unlocked yet. You know what I mean? It was like turning. It was like turning. It was like not unlocked yet. Like unlock at level 72 or something like that. Like I saw the Rhino and he had like that pose right here, and like it was a comic book accurate like Rhino suit, and he was like this just spinning. I was like, what the fuck are we getting at here?
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty fun, but obviously,
Doctor Strange even got a little emotional. He was like, when he said, "I'll see you later, kid," and he kind of like choked up a little bit. Like,
yeah, because he was so beloved in the entire Avengers.
Well, and everybody loved him. He knew how hard it was what Peter was about to do. Like, and that's why I say Peter's decision at the end of this movie is his sacrifice is the most Spider-Man thing. What he did is worse than giving his life, than dying as Spider-Man. Like for him, I mean, he did the right thing, but choosing what he chose is it's the most that's why I say it's the best superhero movie of all time, because no superhero has ever I hate everything, has ever given that much of a sacrifice.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's why I say, like, this movie, you know, we'll kind of talk about this in a minute. You know, you said you felt like the end of this movie was almost like a soft reboot of the franchise. I don't think we're quite in reboot territory.
No, not. But you understood what I meant. Like it resetted everything he did from 1 and 2. Because if you saw at the ending, like he doesn't have Mary Jane. He doesn't have the Stark tech anymore, which I was ecstatic to see. Yeah, and you saw that he has, when he was moving into his broken down apartment, he had a GED book. Like nobody knew who Peter Parker was.
Yeah.
So he has to start back. Like he's not in MIT anymore. He obviously has his brains, so he has to build his way back up. Mary Jane and Ned do not know who this man is. So he didn't go to the
Right.
same school or anything. So he's
Yeah.
literally on his own, and he has
Mhm.
to build everything back up. And that's why I consider it like a soft, like little reboot, because it's like everything from No Way Home and everything Peter Parker experienced from No Way Home and Far From Home is gone. People
Yeah.
know who Spider-Man is. They just don't know. They just don't know who he is. And it's going back to the way Tobey Maguire is, which is like, like when he finally moves out of Aunt May's place and he gets the apartment, like it's just him.
Yep.
And he's on his own. And I was low key about to cry whenever I saw
That was emotional.
the sewing needle of him making his suit and him jumping out with his freshly new like OG, like comic OG suit.
Comic accurate. It had like the original. It wasn't the Stark spider. It was a different spider. It was a different everything.
Yep.
And J-Dad puts it perfectly here. He says Peter Parker chose a death that he will have to live with, which is worse than actually dying. Oof. I mean, that's what I'm saying, man. It is. Laying truth here, man.
Okay.
But
I was like, okay.
J-Dad's laying truth, dude.
Yeah.
But seriously, it was the most. It was the heaviest decision that any superhero has ever made. Yes, more than Tony Stark dying. That he chose something worse than dying. And I do think there has to be a payoff at some point. I do think in the events of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which was one of the post-credit scenes, the trailer for that movie, I think not in that movie, but I think the events of that movie, the events of the next Spider-Man film and whatever else happens, I really believe that I believe that there is going to be a payoff for him.
I about said because
there has to be a payoff. You can't leave it at that. It would feel incomplete, you know?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a plot hole if I think about it, because that spell erases memories.
Right.
And Doctor Strange erased the memory of the Hyatt or wherever the fuck Wong was talking about. Like, but he remembered.
Yeah.
So Doctor Strange should remember that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
I think that something in the events of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness will make him remember. I think at some point Doctor Strange will remember what happened, and Doctor Strange will be the one that somehow makes this payoff. There has to be a payoff. It won't be in the next Spider-Man movie. It won't. I don't think it will be. I think in sometime in this next college trilogy, I think that there will be a payoff. I think they will remember him again. They will remember who he is.
I actually prefer the seed of him trying to build a relationship back up again. I actually kind of like that.
Really though?
Yeah. Because it
feel
just
there has to be a payoff, man. I really do.
I think no. Why? I think I prefer like Peter Parker, like coming out of nowhere and just being Spider-Man and having to, just be like the low level student that he started out and just building himself back up, because we didn't get that. We just knew he was just a smart kid that could go to MIT. I think this one is going to be more humbling. This is going to be a more humbled Spider-Man, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. We're moving into the most comic book accurate version of Spider-Man we've ever seen.
Yeah, I could say that. Yeah,
I think the end of this movie felt like its own thing. It didn't even feel MCU. It felt like its own. I mean, it was the difference in scenery. Snow, we're moving into winter, where Hawkeye is set. Hawkeye is set after the events of Spider-Man No Way Home. Like it feels like we're moving into its own entity. That's why, like I said at the beginning of this episode, when we were not talking spoilers, like Spider-Man feels like his own entity at the end of the movie. He doesn't have Tony. Curious. He doesn't have the Avengers. He doesn't have Strange. He doesn't have his friends. It is him. It is all up to him to do what's right and to be Spider-Man. And I think that's remarkable. That's fantastic. So Miguel gave this thing a 9.7. I gave it a 9.5. We are we are going to continue talking about this movie. We didn't even talk about the Venom post-credit scene, which kind of pissed me off. I don't really understand what's going on with that, but
neither do I.
I do understand, but I don't know. Whatever. We'll talk about that another time.
That's what confused me with the multiverse thing. So we'll have to talk about the multiverse again, and
we will
delve into that.
This is this is part one of an infinite number of conversations that we're going to have on this show about this movie, because there is so much we didn't get to, so much we left out. This particular episode has been in the making for almost a year now, ever since like the speculation and the coverage of Spider-Man No Way Home began. And I mean, damn, it was worth it. You know what I mean? It was so
this was
worth
very much worth it.
It really was, man. So as always, we want to hear from you. Please, please, please leave us a comment down below. Let us know what you thought of Spider-Man No Way Home. We want to hear from you. New episodes of Let's Talk Movies and Purely Simply Evil premiere every single Monday and Saturday at 8 p.m. and 10 a.m. Eastern. Yes, you did hear that correctly. That's a glimpse of our new schedule for the time being. We're switching things up, like just our own personal schedules. A couple of things have changed. Damn, was this movie worth the wait. Please be sure to leave us a like and a comment. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at We Talk the Movies. We hope that you enjoyed this show, and please, we are on all of the podcast platforms. Please follow us on there. Share us with your buddies. JDead says, before I go, just wanted to say this was a great live stream, guys. Really appreciate the work you all do. We'll see you later, and take care. Buddy, see you later. Thank you for always showing up, JDead. Thank you to all of you. And this needs to be said as well. Our 1-year anniversary is Monday. We are going to take the next week off. Since it's Christmas time, it's the holidays. We're going to take the next week off. And that's the other thing, please have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, go hang out with your friends and family. Just enjoy the next week, relax, take it easy, and just enjoy what you enjoy doing. And we will see you after the holidays. Thank you so much for the last year and a half. We can't thank you enough. Seriously. I mean, this has been, I can't tell you how much we enjoy doing this. Like, seriously, this is like, it's become like our second job. It's become like something I'm always thinking about. We love doing this. Seriously. Like it's a labor of love, as they call it. You know what I mean? Hanging out with you guys, talking movies, collecting, just, this show and what it's become in a year has me so excited for the next year.
I couldn't agree more. Brad pretty much recapped the feeling the both of us have with this podcast, and I couldn't be more proud of how far we've come, and I couldn't be more excited to talk to you guys further with more MCU movies or any movies in general coming down the line. And yeah, I honestly just want to say thanks for sticking with us, because our podcast has just been a long line of trial and error, and I couldn't be more proud of what Brad has done with this podcast and just me being along for the journey. I couldn't be more proud.
You're in it with me.
Yeah,
so, you're in it. You're fine. I'll still keep you around. Guys, thank you so much. Have a Merry Christmas. Have a happy holiday. Let us know in the comments what you think of Spider-Man No Way Home, and we will talk to you later. Enjoy the new outro credits, guys. We will talk to you very, very soon. Brad and Miguel out. See ya.
See ya.